नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमम् देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवतसेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। हरि ओम तत्सत्। Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2, contents, Chapter 2, Divinity and Divine Service, verse number 24. I'm going to share. One to 24. Reading from Parthivadarno Dumas Tasmadagnistrayi Mayaha Tamasastu Rajastasmat Brahma Darshanam. Parthivadarno Duma Tasmadagnistrayi Mayaha Tamasastu Rajastasmat Sattvam Yad Brahma Darshanam. Parthivadarno Duma Tasmadagnistrayi Mayaha Tamasastu Rajastasmat Sattvam Yad Brahma Darshanam. Parthivadarno Duma Tasmadagnistrayi Mayaha Tamasastu Rajastasmat Sattvam Yad Brahma Darshanam. Word to word. Parthivat, from earth, Darunaha, firewood, Dumaha, smoke, Tasmat, from that, Agni, fire, Trayi, Vedic sacrifices, Maya, made of, Tamasa, in the mode of ignorance, Tu, but, Rajaha, the mode of passion, Tasmat, from that, Sattvam, the mode of goodness, Yat, which, Brahma, the absolute truth, Darshanam, realization. Translation by Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Firewood is a transformation of earth, but smoke is better than raw wood. And fire is still better, for by fire we can derive the benefits of superior knowledge through Vedic sacrifices. Similarly, the passion, rajas, is better than ignorance, tamas. But goodness, sattva, is best because by goodness one can come to realize the absolute truth. Let's repeat. Firewood is the transformation of earth, but smoke is better than raw wood. And fire is still better, for by fire we can derive the benefits of superior knowledge through Vedic sacrifices. Similarly, passion, rajas, is better than ignorance, tamas. But goodness, sattva, is best because by goodness one can come to realize the absolute truth. We'll try to understand this verse. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanasalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yana Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaः. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langete girim yatkrupatamaham vande Sri Gurum Denatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanya Iswaram. Vancha kalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhubhayeva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namo. Vaishnava की जय. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Mena Bhutale Swayam Rupah Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadanti. Shri Rupa Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai, Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai, Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Thank you for joining. So we are discussing Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Creation, Chapter 2, titled Divinity and Divine Service, verse number 24. So just a quick recap of the last verses discussion and where we are, what section we are in, so that then we can try to discuss. This is a continuation of the previous verse actually, because the example is given to the previous verse in this verse specifically. So both are very much related. So first chapter of first canto was discussing about the question by the sages. Saunaka and other rishis assembled in Naimisharanya asking the 6 questions. What is the ultimate good for the people in general? What is the essence of all the scriptures? Why did Krishna appear in the womb of Mother Devaki and Vasudev? Then what is the narrate the pastimes of Gunavataras of the Supreme Lord and the Leela Avataras of the Supreme Lord, 4th and 5th. 6th, when Krishna left the planet, where did all the religion taken shelter of? These are the 6 questions asked by Saunaka and other rishis assembled in Naimisharanya, asking Sota Goswami, who is the leader of all of them, who is the spiritual master. So he is giving the answers in this chapter and later on throughout Srimad Bhagavatam. So in this chapter, divinity and divine service is the quick answers given to the 4 of those questions out of 6 in brief answers. So those 6 questions, we are in the 5th section. There are 6 sections in this chapter. So the 34 verses are there. So the first section is talking about paying or offering respects to the spiritual master and the Supreme Lord and etc. That was the first section, 1 to 4. And then 5 to 10 is talking about the importance of process of self-realization. And then verse number 11 onwards, 11 to, I think, 11 to 21, I think, 21. 11 to 15 is satisfying Lord Krishna. And then 16 to 21, actually, 16 to 22 is a gradual process of self-realization from Adho Shraddha, from faith to ultimately Krishna Prema, highest stage, from beginning stage. That was section number 4. And the 5th section is the today's verse from last week's verse, 23 to 29. So that is exclusive devotion to Lord Krishna for attaining ultimate goal of life, Krishna Prema. That was the 5th section. And the last section is Lord is transcendental to the 3 modes. Lord is beyond these 3 modes. To the transcendental to the material world and 3 modes. That was these are the 6 sections. And then we discussed at in a high level that one must take shelter of the mode of goodness. That was the main point. Even in this verse, that is being stressed again. One must be situated in mode of goodness. And then we discussed it is like the flashlight. This material world, the material world, this temporary material nature is like flashlight, and then we discussed the example of red, blue, and yellow, or red, yellow. So, yeah, the red, blue, yellow, or red, green, yellow, none of them are permanent. Everything is changing constantly. These traffic lights, but the person behind, somebody who's operating. Is fixed, somebody is there, but these lights are changing. Like that, the Supreme Lord is not changing, but like that, this material nature is changing, this gross body and subtle body is changing, but the actual soul is the same. Soul is carrying, the subtle body is being carried to the next body. When we take next body, the impressions are being carried to the next body. So that was the main important. So from there, the instruction was given from the last verse is the situated in mode of goodness. You must take shelter of the mode of goodness. And then we And it has been mentioned by Hamsa Avatar, Lord Vishnu appearing as a Hamsa, swan incarnation in front of Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma himself forgot what he has been taught before. And when four Kumar was asking question, that's when Lord appears there. So then he was giving instruction. Invigorated execution of religious principles. So mode of goodness will help to execute religious principles. So then further, if you situate in the mode continuously as regularly, day after day, then when we do more and more, then that invigoration of execution strengthens the mode of goodness, and ultimately it will destroy all the ignorance and passion. Then we'll come to that Visuddha Sattva. And then further it is mentioned about that food and attitude and work and recreation. All these four aspects must be looked at and transform or change our course of action from ignorance, passion to goodness in these four aspects. And then further, the 10 items were listed out to be looked at. In terms of religious scriptures, what kind of scriptures we are reading? The Puranas, the Vedas, Upanishads, because there are divisions of these, especially Puranas, mode of goodness, passion, ignorance. So that we have to look at. So we should choose something in the mode of goodness in all these 10 items. Religious scriptures, water, association of friendship with those in mode of goodness, and particular place, and then time, meditation, chanting mantras. What mantras? There are so many mantras. Even in Kirtan also, even though clearly Srimad Bhagavatam is mentioning Sravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, but they come up with different Kali Kirtan and so many other Kirtans. But there is no there is no mention in the scripture about these. But so that's why we have to see everything in the situated mode of goodness. Otherwise, we can pick up anything, any mantra, anything, everything will be same. No, but it is not same. And that is what is clearly mentioning here. Time, meditation, chanting of the mantras, and the activities, and the birth, purificatory rituals. These 10 items must be looked at. We must somehow or the other come to take these 10 items and do in mode of goodness, chose in mode of goodness. Then that will elevate us. And then further it means use mind and body to cultivate the knowledge. And further it is mentioned one must be attentive and grave, never lazy or morose, fixed mind. So that's why 3 times we have to chant. We discuss like Muslims do namaz, but we only forget to do. We think only morning is good enough. But we are supposed to do 3 sandhyas. We're supposed to do morning as sun rises, the afternoon at 12 o'clock, around that time, and in the evening when sun is setting. These 3 times we are supposed to meditate, chant. One who is second initiated or one who is Brahmin by birth received the Gayatri thread, then they must be chanting those 3 times a day. That's what has been mentioned. Then withdrawing mind from all object, one should divert and absorb in the Supreme Lord. So in this way, Lord Hamsa is instructing. So, and come out of the false ego, give up constant anxiety to enjoy. So these are the various aspects has been mentioned from the past. That is the recap of this verse. So now in this verse, the example is given. So as in this previous verse, it is Sattvam Rajas Tama iti. Even though there are 3 modes, 3 personalities, Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva. Brahma is creator as passion, Lord Shiva is annihilator as tama, ignorance, in charge. That doesn't mean he is in ignorance. And Lord Vishnu is maintaining, in charge of goodness. So one must take shelter of the Sreyans, Tatra Sreyans Kalu, Sattvaha. So one must take shelter of goodness. Now the example is given in this verse. Parthiva Daruno Domas. Parthiva means earth. Daruno Domas. From earth, the wood is formed from earth. Then when we ignite, then from wood comes smoke. From smoke gradually comes fire. So there is no use. Actually, we need fire. We really don't need illumination, the fire and light, electricity we need, not smoke, not wood. We need fire. So same way, not ignorance, not passion, we must take shelter of goodness. So that is the example is given. So tasmad agnis trayimai, parthiva earth, daruno is the wood, or smoke. Doma is smoke, daruna is wood. So we must take shelter of tasma. Therefore, one must take shelter of Agni. Trayi Mayi means three Vedic sacrifices. Agni, one must take shelter of this Agni fire. Tasmastu Rajas Tasma Sattvam means so beyond the take shelter of mode of goodness, not passion, not ignorance, like earth slash wood is in the lower more ignorance compared to the example is given, and then the smoke is in the passion, like a more gross and subtle, and then more situated in spiritual kind of. That is the example is being given here. We'll go more deeper. And the last verse also is important. Tamasastu rajas tasma sattvam yad Brahma Darshanam. Brahma Darshanam is important. What is Brahma Darshanam and how we can come to that? So this is the main example is given from the last verse. So Prabhupada in the purport is mentioning by goodness one can come to that enlightenment, one can come to that self-realization. So one has to take shelter of the goodness so that he can come to the realized absolute. That is the first point Prabhupada is making. Then further, if there are impediments on the path of this absolute truth, then he must take shelter of the bona fide spiritual master. That is the second point Prabhupada is making. So that gradually rise to the Suddha Sattva, gradually, by the expert guidance, because otherwise it is not possible. As we see on the battlefield, Arjuna, even though is a great warrior, but he took shelter of Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. So Lord himself is showing, even when he appears also, he takes also spiritual master. The third point Prabhupada is making, so it is in this verse and the last verse it is clearly laid out that worship of any god, worship of anyone is not the same. Taking shelter of wood is not the same as smoke. Taking shelter of the fire is not the same as wood or smoke. So that's what Prabhupada. So worship of any quality or any form is equal, not beneficial. Only the mode of goodness has the highest benefit. And then, so the further the same point is more different ways mentioned. Except Lord Vishnu, all separated forms are manifested from the from under the material conditions of material energy. As you can see, when the time of creation, Lord Mahavishnu, Purushavatara, Karanodasakasai Vishnu is inhaling and exhaling. That's when then he is expanding. Garbhodakasai Vishnu, universes are coming out as bubbles. Garbhodakasai Vishnu is entering into each of those bubbles or universes. And then from his navel is lotus stem is coming out, lotus flower, and then from there on the top Brahma is born without a female. So that is the power of Garbhodakasai Vishnu is the source of Kshirodakasai Vishnu. Vishnu here when last verse says Vishnu, Brahma and Shiva, three, who is the source? Garbhodakasai Vishnu is the source. From Garbhodakasai Vishnu, Lord Brahma is born. And then Lord Brahma, Shiva is born. In this case, we are talking about Shiva in this planet. There is Sadasiva, who is there always in Vaikuntha Loka also. That is different. So that's why Shiva is not Jiva Tattva, but Brahma and all other demigods are Jiva Tattva. But for in this instance, which we are discussing is, but still Lord Shiva is considered as demigod. Brahma is also considered, but Brahma and all others are much different from Lord Shiva. So there is a big difference. So anyway, here that's why except all these forms are created under the control of the material conditions of the material energy. Yes, when Lord wants to create, the milk is transformed into yogurt. There is a culture is added. You can't just transform milk into yogurt without adding something culture. Same way, so when the creation has to happen, that's when he transfers. He glances on the 24 elements. Then he transfers that glance through Ramadevi and Lord Vishnu, Ramadevi, Lord Vishnu's consort in the spiritual world, then transfers into Durga Devi and Lord Shiva. And then this creation happens. But in this world, through Brahma, Brahma's sons. Lord Shiva is born as Brahma's son. 11 Rudras comes out. They take charge of annihilation. Brahma is the creator, so he wants Lord all his sons to create, procreate, expand, but many of them doesn't. So especially four Kumaras, we don't want to get married. So then he becomes angry. That's when these Rudras were born. And then they started annihilating everything, burning up things. So what are you doing? You're supposed to create. You are spoiling everything. Then okay, all right. Then he subsided. So in this way, Rudras also came. So under the control of this material nature, under the material conditions, they were born, Lord Brahma, and because this is all coming under within this purview of the material nature. Lord Brahma was born, Lord Shiva as 11 Rudras taking care of the annihilation, in charge of the mode of ignorance. Then Brahma is on the mode of passion. They were born. So that's the point. So except Lord Vishnu, all separated forms manifested under the control conditions of the material energy. Last point is there is a so one must transfer from uncivilized to civilized and realized. So tamogun means uncivilized, ignorance means uncivilized. Then one must come to the civilized, which means people may have passion, a little bit civilized, but they are looking for material benefits always, constantly looking for where there is benefit for me, how I can enjoy, how I can get more and more and more. There is no satisfaction. This is unending desire. Asad Indriya Trishna. Mother Devhuti is asking to Kapila, his son, that I am so much disturbed with this Asat Indriya Trishna. When her husband left, Kardamani left, then Devhuti is asking, I am so much suffering with this Asat Indriya Trishna. I am very sick. So please tell me how I can get out of this. What kind of yoga I should do. Then Kapila Muni was instructing to engage in Bhakti Yoga. We'll come to that. So these are the 5 main points from Prabhupada is making from the purport. Now the first, from this verse, first thing we have to learn is, here it is Sota Goswami is mentioning, we must take shelter of fire. So one must take shelter of fire. That is the first and foremost point. Not wood, not smoke. That means one must be taking shelter of goodness, Lord Vishnu. That is the example here. Then one must also change the activities from foolish activity to sober activity. That's what it means. Example is talking about one must be sober. Goodness means one at least sober, is aware of things, is not aloof, is not so much caught up with lower activities. So, yeah, we're discussing this 1 to 24 verse. So, the fire is the main necessity, is one must take shelter of, then one must transfer from foolish activity to sober activity, which is mode of ignorance and passion to goodness. So, just like because there's a gradual evolution, Darwin's theory, everybody know, but he has a little bit wrong there. It's everybody is there, all living entities are there, from all the way it starts from aquatic. When Garbhodak Sai Vishnu expanded from Karanodaya Sai Vishnu to Garbhodaya Sai Vishnu, he filled half of the universe with water. Then first living entity started is aquatics. From aquatics it started to, next is trees, plants, then insects, then reptiles, then birds, animals, bees, human beings. These were 9 types of living entities. So 3 modes are there. Under the 3 modes only, then different types of living entities came. There is 8.4 million species. The calculation has come because 3 modes, like the goodness, passion, ignorance, these 3. But 3 permutation of component, 3 into 3, 9. And there are 9 types of living entities, which I was mentioning, from all the way from aquatics to human beings. 9 categories. So that 9 into 9 is 81. But in these 9 categories, each of them has certain numbers. Like human beings is 400,000 types of human beings. That means that like you have Yakshas, Kinnaras, Kimpurushas, Gandharvas, Charanas, Siddhas, demigod, like this, so many. So like that, 400,000 types of different types of human beings. So then you have Jalaja Navalakshan, 900,000 is aquatics, or 9 million, 9 lakh, 9 lakh aquatic, like that each category. So because of that, it is 81 multiplied by these numbers, then 8.4 million species are coming. So that is gradual evolution, depending on which mode they are operating. That's why each and every species of life has three modes. Like if you look at the tree which is giving the fruits and flowers, everything, that is a mode of goodness. The tree which is giving only fruits, then that is a mode of passion. Tree which is not giving anything, no fruit, no flowers, no use the tree, that is a mode of ignorance. So same each and every category of life has these three modes. So but they grow gradually. This is a gradual evolution. But when it comes to the human being, then if we utilize it rightly, then we can go to up to the enter into the spiritual world. Only we can acquire what the supreme absolute Brahma Darshanam. So that is what in this verse. So that's why one must be sober, one must be grave. When we will be sober, when we are situated in mode of goodness, then we can be sober and grave. If you are in situated in mode of passion, that we'll see the example of Dhruva Maharaj. Even though Dhruva Maharaj got the benediction when 6 months old, 5 years old only, he went and worshipped the Supreme Lord because of his stepmother. Stepmother chastised him and gave scolding, and then that you cannot sit on your father's lap. Then he was very angry and he left and he went and worshipped the Supreme Lord. And when he came back, also he did something which is very similar to the what the current situation is. Means two different scenarios, but we can have some relative understanding of what it is and how to do what Swayambhu Munu instructed. Later on, we'll see that Dhruva Maharaj, even though he came, Lord told you will enjoy for 32,000 years, then you will go to the Dhruva planet pole star, which is the Vaikuntha Loka within this material world, where Kshirodaka Sai Vishnu Paramatma is there within the material world, that is the Vaikuntha. That's where pole star is also there. Both are in the same planet. That doesn't get any less. That's where Dhruva will go after he finishes this 32,000 years. So while he was ruling, then he got caught up again. So that's why one must be sober. Swayambhu Manu is instructing. What has happened to you? Okay. So one must be sober. That's what. So the Dhruva Maharaj again started fighting, not just with the whom he is supposed to, but he was fighting vigorously left and right without understanding what he is doing. So that's why one must be very active and understand what he is doing. Unless he is sober, he cannot be. We'll see what Swayambhu Manu is instructing there. So that is what is the second point. One must be from foolish to sober. One must transfer through gradual evolution. So taking a fire. That example is also mentioned that just like the fire actually burns the wood. Same way, when the spirit soul enlightened, the darkness of ignorance will be completely removed. That means ignorance, passion. Tada rajastamo bhava kamalo vata yeche chetayetayiranavidam chetan satve prasiddhat. The darkness of ignorance and passion will be removed when gradually more and more all the impurities will go away. As more and more we are in touch with fire, more and more this devotion service. So that's why fire example is given. Because fire is like in the wood, it is an unmanifested state. That's why the ignorance to passion, passion to goodness, you see different levels. In the wood, it is completely in unmanifested. It is fully like a lazy, in a very sleepy condition. That's why ignorance is the one. One of them is the sleep, indolence. So that is the characteristic of ignorance. Passion is a little bit better above that. So that is a semi-manifested state, not fully conscious of what is right, what is not right. So that's why this fire is fully manifested state. So that's why here it has been mentioned one must take spirit soul is in the right now is in the unmanifested stage, so it must come to the fully manifested stage, that fully conscious, fully grave, then when we take shelter of this mode of goodness. Otherwise our mind will be always agitated, our senses will be agitated. So that's why one must take shelter of goodness, almost day to day basis. How we can do that, we'll come to that. And then further it is mentioned, so by, yeah, so the example is also mentioned here. Yeah, just at the same point, on the fire, just like the drying process is devotion service. Initially when the wood, when you cut, it is not fully dry, it won't burn. Prabhupada also gives that example. This drying process means we are keep engaging in sinful activity, keep doing unwanted things which is not prescribed in Shastra, then you cannot expect it to be in situated in goodness. Constantly you take one step and then 10 steps backwards, then how will we move? So that is the Prabhupada is calling that as a drying process. We have to make sure that we are following the drying process of actively engaged, situated mode of actively engaged in devotion service. And that also, that, yeah, the few examples is coming up. Yeah, Narada Muni is instructing to Vasudeva. Yudhishthira Maharaj is asking Narada Muni, and Narada Muni is relating in the 7th canto Srimad Bhagavatam. We see that example, and here Mother Devahuti and Kapila is also instructing Devahuti on the same point. One must be constantly following be situated in these transcendental activities, somehow or other, one of them at least, chanting or hearing, especially the chanting is being prescribed. So then that will dry up. So then gradually our sinful activity, the tendency to commit sinful activity, tendency to be in the mode of ignorance will be destroyed. Otherwise, there is no possibility. So that's why one must take. So that is a point. Internally, it is mentioning indirectly. When we take shelter of fire, means not once in a blue moon. We have to take shelter almost every day basis. Okay, one day we miss, at least continue. We shouldn't feel okay. We missed for almost a month. Let think and lose patience and lose. So no, we should actually rather be determined and immediately take up. Even if we did offenses, even if we did some sinful activity, still we should continue and take up the process seriously. Then gradually, even if there are up and downs, then we'll be able to continue on this soberness. This is the drying up. After drying, then when you dry the wood, then fire will burn like anything. So whether it's a week or anything, you see that's how initially it takes. Sometimes it stops. Your even the stick, right? Dupa, when you're trying to, sometimes it stops. It doesn't burn properly. Either element they are made of is not proper, or sometimes even it is wet. The matchstick itself is wet. So that is compared to this sinful activity. So we must be very careful of what kind of activities we engage in. So it is tend to happen, but at least we should continue this process. Gradually, those sinful activities will be reduced. But if we stop activities and be engaged in devotion service, be engaged in situated in mode of goodness, then there is no way to come out of that sinful activity. So that is the main point. Why to take shelter of? Otherwise, if you take shelter of mode of ignorance, passion, take shelter of Lord Brahma or Lord Shiva, keep asking for material benefits. Give me this, I will do this. Give me karma kandi, which are karma kanda. And that's what King Purvaro is also meditating on Vorosi. Then he went to that planet of Vorosi in the next life. He already engaged in so many years with Vorosi, but still he was not satisfied. Then he was meditating at the end of life also. He was also performing sacrifices. What kind of sacrifice? People may perform sacrifices. That is the thing here. It is meant sacrifice is Trayi, Mayi. That also is coming down. We'll go to that. Especially the fire is important here, Agni. And then Trayi, Mayi is also important, and Brahma Darshanam. These three words are important in this verse. So on the fire topic we are discussing. So that's why one must take shelter of fire so that we can be dried out completely. All the sinful activity is removed. by being situated with the fire, being in touch with fire. That is the main important point has been made here. So that's what it is means. To become religious means Trayi Mayi, coming to Trayi Mayi. Trayi means Vedas. In different ways it is mentioned in different places in Srimad Bhagavatam. Three Vedas. Trayi means three. Three in department of Vedas. That is Karma Kanda, Jnana Kanda, Upasana Kanda. Most of the people are interested, those who are in passion, they are interested in karma kanda. That means they want benefits. Either they do come to temple or engage in yajna or charity, austerity, anything they do, they want something in return. They will do only if they get some benefit back. So that is the karma kanda vichar. That is in the mode of passion. Mode of ignorance means it's not even as per shastra. They will do whatever, they will worship bhutas, pretas, pisachas, and they will do whatever they like. They nothing. They don't go by the shastra at all. Whom supposed to give charity, whom not to give. There is no proper procedure. So out of so whatever they like, they will do. There is no guidance. They is not taking shelter of either sadhu or shastra or guru. Nothing. So that is in the mode of ignorance. So that's why here it is mentioned Trayi, Trayi Mayi, Trayi here it is mentioned. That means three department of Vedas, Karma Kanda, Jnana Kanda means one, those who are philosophers, renouncing this world. This is Brahma Satya Jagan Midya. This is false. So reality is the absolute truth, but they are thinking this Brahman effulgence. Currently we are conditioned, but let me take sannyas. Let me renounce everything. So that is the philosophers, grannies. But that is also there is no actual real happiness there, because they will fall down even if they, after so many years and births of tapasya, they will enter into the Brahma Jyoti, but they again fall down from there because there is no variety. So the variety is there in the spiritual world, variegatedness. There is no personal relationship and rasa and Brahman effulgence whom they are going to interact with. So how much we are going to sit in a black box, in a black room? We can't sit much longer without friends, without nobody. So that's why it is dangerous to be in this Jnana Marga. So that's why, but better than the being in ignorance. But it is not the ultimate. Again, we'll fall down after performing so many. And that's why in chapter 12, Arjuna is asking Krishna, and then Krishna is mentioning Klesho adhikatarastesham avyakta saktachesam. That avyakta means unmanifested state is the impersonal aspect. One who is worshipping, it is very difficult. And that also, even after doing that, again he will fall down. Arhya kruchena param padam patanti yada anadruta smadangra. Because avisuddha buddha is not fully intelligent. So impurity is there. That's why he falls down. And there is no variety in Brahman effulgence. So that is what is mentioned in three departments. So we have to come to the Upasana Kanda, means worshipping the Supreme Lord. That's what Upasana Kanda means. That is the important stage. But it's a gradual process. Nothing is bad. One is better than another one. So it's a gradual evolution, gradual process. Then in another place, in other places, it is mentioned that to become this when Vedas are talking about religion. So what is the ultimate purpose of Vedas? Is to come out of the material entanglement. To become religious means to become free from the material entanglement. So one must not use this body and wealth or whatever is there for sense enjoyment. Yes, he can use it to a limited extent, but not overly. That will cause this material entanglement. Dharmasya hi apavargasya. Apavarga means this birth, death, old age, disease. Apavarga means going beyond this birth, death, old age, disease. That is the main purpose of religious principles. Dharmasya hi apavargasya. Kama labhai hi spruta. So 1 to 9 previous verses this is mentioned. So that is the main. Then this Trayi Mayi is also mentioned three gunas. In Bhagavad Gita we see that Krishna is telling Arjuna, go beyond these three modes. Traigunya Vishayo Veda Nistraigunya Bhavarjuna. So go above the three modes. Be situated in even Visuddha Sattva. Gradually from goodness we will go to Visuddha Sattva, but after a lot of practice. So that is mentioned here. Further about this Trayi Mayi. In another place it is mentioned three subject matters. Trayi in Veda is also mentioned three subjects. One is knowledge about God and relationship with God. That is the first one aspect. Second is understanding the ultimate goal of life. Third aspect is attaining that goal of life. How to attain it. These are the three subject matters. In that way, also this Trayi Vedas can be understood. And another place it is mentioned Trayi Gatra. Yeah, when Lord Brahma had to create, when he was born, he was searching what to do. Who is my father? What I am supposed to do? Who am I? He was searching. He was born on the lotus flower. Then he went all over the stem, throughout the stem, but he couldn't find anybody. Then he had to search. Then finally, after so much tapasya, he heard two syllable tapa, austerity. Then he performed so much tapasya after almost a day of Brahma's life. Then he heard the voice. Then he received the knowledge. He received how he received. This is explained in Brahma Samhita, verse number I think 27. Yeah. Ata Venu Ninadasya Trayi Murti Mayi. Ata Venu Ninadasya Trayi Murti Mayi Gati. He received Gayatri mantra. This is the highest Gayatri mantra he received. There are 7 Gayatris. In Brahma Mahatma Gaudiya Samprada, we have 7 Gayatris. From Guru Gayatri to Gaur Gayatri, there are 2. Then Guru Gayatri, then 2, Gaur Gayatri 2. Then we have also, first is Brahma Gayatri, then Guru Gayatri 2, then Gaur Gayatri 2, then Krishna Gayatri and Kama Gayatri. There are total 7. The last one is Kama Gayatri. So he received Krishna Gayatri and then Kama Gayatri, the highest 7. So here it is mentioned how he received through a transcendental sound of flute. Venu Ninadasya. Through flute sound of Lord Krishna, he received Trayi Murti Mayi. Who is the mother of these 3 Vedas? Who is the mother? Gayatri. Gayatri was produced from this flute sound, transcendental sound of Lord Krishna. Then it entered into the ear holes. 4 heads Brahma has. This universe, 4-headed Brahma is ruling. So he has 4 heads, means 8 ear holes. It entered through the 8 ear hole, the transcendental sound. It went and touched to the heart of Lord Brahma. 8 ear holes. It went into the. So that's what here it is mentioned. But the divine sound of flute of Sri Krishna entered into the 8 ear holes of Lord Brahma, Kama Gayatri. Then he received the highest transcendental knowledge. So that's what. In another place, this Trayi also means religion, economy, and salvation. That is Rigveda, Yajurveda, Atharvaveda. Samaveda. Rigveda, Yajurveda, and Samaveda. Atharvaveda is not mentioned in this place. And this Trayi Mayi. In different places in Srimad Bhagavatam, we see the 3 departments: Karma Kanda, Jnana Kanda, Upasana Kanda. One place we understood the knowing God, understanding relationship, and practicing ultimate goal of life and attaining it. That is another meaning. The other meaning we see that 3 also here, that this Rigveda, Samaveda, Atharvaveda. There are 3 different priests. The Hota priest, who is offering oblations into fire, chanting Rigveda mantra, and then there is Udgata priest chanting Samaveda mantra, and then Advaryu priest chanting, doing the sacrifices, arranging everything, sacrifices, altar and everything, and then chanting Yajurveda mantra. So these are the 3 different. This is Treta Yuga. This is mentioned. This is followed. These 3 Vedas, Trayi Mayi. That is the description is given. But one place, very important point has been made about this Trayi Mayi. It is mentioned a Trayi Gatra. So I want to read that 4746. A very important point is made. Or 746. Tvam pura gam rasaya maha sukaro damstraya padminim varanendro yatha stuyamano nadal leelaya yogivir vijuharda trayi gatra yajna kratuhu. Trayi gatra, it is mentioned. Dear Lord, O personified Vedic knowledge, this Trayi gatra means personified Vedic knowledge. In the past millennium, long, long ago, when you appeared to the great boar incarnation, you picked up the world from the water An elephant picks up lotus flower from a lake. When you vibrate a transcendental sound in the gigantic form of a boar, the sound was accepted as a sacrificial hymn, and great sages like Sanaka meditated upon it, offered prayers for your glorification. So there is mentioning a significant, Prabhupada is mentioning, a significant word used in this verse is Trayi Gatra, which means the transcendental form of the Lord is the Vedas. Anyone who engages, this is the important part, anyone who engages in the worship of the deity, anyone engaged in the worship of the deity, or the form of the Lord in the temple, is understood to be studying all the Vedas 24 hours a day. This is the important point. How much important? Anyone who engages in the worship of the deity or the form of the Lord in the temple is understood to be studying all the Vedas 24 hours a day. How much important? Simply by decorating the deities of the Lord, Radha and Krishna in the temple, one very minutely studies the injunctions of the Vedas. You see the point? How much importance is being mentioning here. Even a neophyte devotee who simply engages in the worship of the deity is understood to be in direct touch with the purport of the Vedic knowledge. And Prabhupada is quoting 15.15, which is Sarvasya chaham hridhi sannivishto matta smritir jnanam apohanancha vedaischa sarvam mahameva vedyo vedantakrit vedavid eva chaham. This is the Paribhasha Sutra of Bhagavad Gita, 15.15. 15, Purushottam Prapti Yoga chapter, verse number 15. Where Lord is situated in everybody's heart, Sarvasya chaham hridhi sannivishto. Matta smritin is giving the forgetfulness, he is also giving the remembrance. Depending on what we like to do, accordingly free will is there. To that, accordingly is guiding, either remembrance or forgetfulness. Accordingly, we are engaging in mode of ignorance or passion, what we like to do. Accordingly is guiding. Matta smritir jnanam apohanancha vedaischa sarvair ahameva vedyo. I am the essence of what is the purpose of reading Gita or Bhagavatam or all the Vedas. I am supposed to be known. Ultimately, we have to understand and the Lord, develop relationship and practice it and attain it. That is Vedaischa Sarver Ahameva Vedyo. I am the source of all the Vedas because Brahmanoham Pratishtha. It is from his Lord's breathing these Vedas come. It didn't come from somewhere. Vyas is writing down for Kali Yuga. He didn't come from him. He wrote down, he divided and all that. But who has brought originally? It came from the Supreme Lord. So, but obviously, literal incarnation is Vyasdev. He has written down, he has divided and written down. So, he is also one of the avatars, Shaktave's avatar, literal incarnation. So, that's the important point. Simply engage in the worship. Yeah, Veda is, and then, yeah. The purport of the Vedas is to understand him, Krishna. One who worships and serves Krishna directly has understood the truth of the Vedas. That's what. One who worships and serves. Two things. One who worships and serves. So, here literally means it is mentioned as temple. It is good. It is a gradual thing to come to that level. Second initiation when we can enter into altar and engage in. We should have that goal. It is clearly mentioned. Because why it is so important is because it is very difficult to come to that sober, to come to that mode of goodness. It will give up the anarthas, give up this mentality to be engaged in sinful activity. As soon as we touch the fire, because Lord, Prabhupada, before he was leaving, almost a few years before, with one of his disciples, Prabhupada was mentioning, don't think that those who are distributing books, they are only important. Actually, you are all pujaris who are worshipping the deity. You are got the greatest opportunity. Actually, it is directly you are worshipping the Lord. You have a great chance to go back to Godhead. Prabhupada mentioned. You are very fortunate because even situated in this material world, having this material body, Lord Krishna is not different from Archa Vigraha. He is giving the opportunity for you to be in touch with him, dress him, feed him. You are going to ultimately, in reality, when you enter into the spiritual world, that's what you are going to do in the spiritual world. But same thing, Krishna is giving you the opportunity to do the same thing here. Even though you have the material body, even though you are not pure, still Krishna is allowing you to do. So this is the great benefit. So use it carefully. Then you will go back to Godhead. This is a great opportunity. That's why you can see this importance is mentioned in this purport. So at least to start with, if we are not in that second initiative, then we should do at home. We should even start with pictures, fine. Then gradually we can get Gaur-Nitai deities or Lord Jagannath Baldev, because they are much more merciful, easy to do. Not so much, because minute we bring Radha and Krishna, it's much more, we have to be very consistent in our practice, consistent in our worship and offering, because much more we have to be careful. So, as Gaur-Nita, even though they are Krishna and Balram, but they are more merciful. Same thing as Jagannath Baldev, they are more merciful. So, they don't take it so seriously. That way we can gradually, but ultimate point is we must worship the deity as pictures at least, and then offering something. Tulsi leaves one must offer every day, offer water, fruits, nuts. These anybody can do, not much to cook. But gradually we have to come to that point. Next is whatever we eat, we must offer. This is the next point, but it's not so easy in this dynamic material world we are in. It's so difficult, especially in this COVID city, it's even more difficult, because that's how it gets even more complicated. But either way, it is a gradual process. But we have to at least understand this and see what we can do, how we can go to the next level. There is a constant improvement, as we hear in this IT world, constant improvement. Same way we have to see. Yesterday we were discussing in Gita class about the spiritual fitness. Gross body we are looking for fitness, subtle body also we are looking for fitness, because if mind is not happy, then it is very disturbing. We cannot be even sleep properly. So that is gross and subtle. Then we have to see also what is the spiritual fitness. Unless the soul is actually receiving the fitness every day, then actual real happiness will come. Otherwise, one day we are happy, another minute we are distressed. This will go on, bound to happen. There is no doubt about it. So that's why we have to understand how to get that spiritual fitness. That is what we discussed yesterday with many examples. Anyway, so here that's very important point with Trayi Gatra. So that's why you can see this is all glories to Sri Prabhupada. So many different throughout Srimad Bhagavatam about Trayi Mayi, different places. And we are not done yet actually. Trayi Mayi, in another place also a very important point has been made. What was that? I think, 4746 we just read. Yeah. Deity worship and service. 3:12:44. Oh, yeah. 7. Yeah, I was telling about the Prahlad Maharaj asking, and Yudhishthira Maharaj asking. Yeah. There also, it is mentioned, yeah, how the living entity is born in this world. And here, Duma, the smoke, looks like there is a demigod for smoke also. There is in charge, even for smoke, there is a demigod. So everything is controlled. To pass urine, there is a demigod who is controlling. So everything is being controlled. Nothing is, we are thinking we are independent, we can do whatever we like, but it is not so. Karanam Gunasanga Sad Asad Janmayanush. There it is mentioned here. Beautiful. Seventh canto, 15th chapter, verse number 50 and 51. Yudhishthira Maharaj asking Narada Muni. Narada Muni is relating what Lord Narayana has instructed. What Lord Narayana. My dear King Yudhishthira, when oblations of ghee and food grains like barley and sesame are offered in sacrifice, because here in this verse it is mentioned as verse number 24, the translation given, because that's why it is not easy, not to, you and I can self-study and understand. Even though it's the same word, but words and the context, it means different. So in this Trayi, Mayi, translated as Vedic sacrifices. So that's why we have to understand clearly here it is talking about sacrifice. Sesame are offered in sacrifice, they turn into celestial smoke, which carries one to successively higher planetary system, like the kingdom of Duma, kingdom of smoke, Ratri, Krishna Paksha, Dakshinam, and ultimately the moon. Looks like these are the various kingdoms in the higher planets. Imagine. We are thinking we are not even aware that there is a planet called Duma, that is like a smoke. Moon is cold, very cold. So they drink somaras, that's it, to keep it hot. Obviously, their bodies are made like that. They can withstand. We can't withstand much cold here. Then, however, the performers of sacrifice descend again to the earth to become herbs, creepers, vegetables, and food grains. These are eaten by different living entities and turned to semen, which is injected into female bodies. Thus, one takes birth again and again. You see the gradual evolution. So that's why the rain. That's why on Ekadasi we don't. It is said grain. Don't take grains because soul passes through the grain. How it is so it is mentioned here. Through rain, somebody is taking the vegetables. It is, but we cannot. It is not. Directly we can perceive exactly directly in front of our eyes, but it is a chain. It is going. So it is mentioned here. Let me see. Yeah. Traigunya Vedas deal mainly with the three modes of material nature, especially Vedas, namely Sama and Yajur and Rig Veda, vividly describe the process of ascending to the higher planets and returning. But Krishna advises Arjuna to transcend these three modes of material nature. One will be released from cycle of birth and death. Otherwise, although one may be promoted to higher planetary systems such as Chandraloka, one must again come down. Kshine Punya Matyaloka Visanti. We discussed many times on this. After one's enjoyment due to pious activity is finished, one must return to this planet in a rainfall and first take birth as a plant. Here is the we need to understand. So one must return to this planet in a rainfall and first take birth as a plant or a creeper, which is eaten by various animals, including human beings, and turned to semen. This semen is injected into the female body, and thus the living entity takes birth. Those who return to the earth in this way takes birth, especially in higher families like those are Brahmanas. So it may be remarked in this connection, even the modern so-called scientists who are going to the moon are not able to stay there, but are returning to their laboratories. Therefore, whether one goes to the moon by modern mechanical arrangement or by performing pious act, one must return to the earth. That is clearly stated in this verse and Bhagavad Gita. So that's why here it is mentioned. So one must engage in this. Yeah, further one more point I was mentioning, right? Yeah, Kapila Muni is instructing Mother Devahoti. So when she asked that Asat Indriya, I am sick by these desires of this my senses. What can I do? How can I come out of it? And then Kapila is instructing. Thus, by not engaging in the service of the modes of material nature, but by developing Krishna consciousness, knowledge and renunciation, and by practicing yoga, in which the mind is always fixed in devotion service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one achieves my association in this very life, for I am the Supreme Personality, the Absolute Truth. Prabhupada is mentioning, when one engages in devotion service to the Lord, in the 9 different kinds of Bhakti Yoga, Sravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Prabhupada is elaborating on this. So basically, this is the main point. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has approved the process of hearing from realized devotees about the pastimes of the Supreme Lord. It does not matter to what category of this world the audience belongs. If one merely and submissively hears about the activities of the Lord from a realized soul, he will be able to conquer the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is unconquerable by any other process. Hearing or associating with the devotees is the most important function for self-realization. That is what. So now this is the Trayi Mayi. First we discussed about the fire, how to take shelter of fire, how to be sober, transfer, drying process, giving up sinful activities. When it will happen, drying means fire. More you keep in the sun, wood dry. That's why people, when they cut the wood, they keep in the sun for days. Or when you make those, with urad dal and moong dal, you make these things and put in sun to dry. More you dry, otherwise when you fry in the oil, it doesn't come out nice and crispy. So many times we make banana chips also. When it is not properly dried, then it doesn't come out crispy. So same way as this drying, one we are dried means sinful activity is gone. Only when we are associated with this devotion service that is mentioned, deity worship. Because that's what deity worship, what we are doing is when we are touching the Lord, when we are feeding the Lord, especially when we are dressing, massaging. So then what is happening is our sinful reactions are being removed. We are getting the actual power to come out of that, because that is the power we are getting by the touch of the Supreme Lord from the Archa Vigraha. So that is why it is very important. So to touch the deity, to feed the deity, to massage the deity. Obviously, pictures we can massage, at least we can see, we can touch, we can offer tulsi leaves, we can worship, we can do the chanting, obviously, in front of the Lord and all. But mainly, so if you have a deity, gradually, especially Gaurnatha or Jagannath Baldev, gradually we can get Radha Krishna once we are, but it must be taken under the guidance of a advanced devotee or spiritual master to get the deities. Many times devotees get directly without asking anybody Radha and Krishna, but it's not going to be. We have to be very careful because we have to know what the standard is, how to follow, what not to do, what to do. So otherwise, it's a problem. So this Trayi Mayi, as it is mentioned, so in order to, the main purpose of Trayi Mayi is to worship the deity and do service. Service to the Lord, service to the devotees. These two are the important aspects. Then we will know automatically. It is like a reading 24 by 7. That doesn't mean I will tomorrow onward I will worship the deity. I don't need to understand this. No. If you understand better, then we can worship. What we are doing wrong, then we can correct in our worship, in our service, what to improve. So that's why reading and hearing, as in this verse it is mentioned here, one must hear or associate with devotees in the most important function of self-realization. That's why we are called Bhagavat Vidhi. We are following Bhagavat. Even the Pancharatra Vidhi also we follow, but more importantly, Bhagavat Vidhi is important because for this Kali Yuga, Sravanam and Kirtanam follows under Bhagavat Vidhi. That's why more stress is given on this process. That will help more because always our ears are working even when we are sleeping. We take the example of from all the way from beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam. Sota Goswami, they are hearing Narada Muni by simply hearing and serving the Bhakti Vedantis. They went back. He was telling, given in the same canto, he is giving example also. Before he was born as a son of a Sudrani, he was a Gandharva. Upa Barahana, his name, Narada Muni. Two lives before he was telling. One life was before becoming Narada Muni, he was a son of a Sudrani. He didn't had any brothers or anything. He is the only son for mother. Her mother didn't have anything. She was working, doing service. So that is the only. She doesn't have anything actually. So that's how poor he was. He doesn't have. So luckily he was in Chaturmasya. Then he was serving. Then these Bhakti Vedantas came, realized soul. Then he heard them and he served them. He took the remnants and they left in 4 months. But after that he quickly became enlightened very, very quickly, and because of the association, because of the hearing. Those two things were very important. But before that, one life before, what happened? He was a Gandharva dancing, and then by seeing the beautiful damsels, Apsaras, then he was attracted. Then he was not singing properly, he was not dancing properly. Then he was cursed to become a Sudra, son of a Sudra. So that's how he was born. So that became a blessing. By the association of these great devotees, serving them and hearing them, then he became an Narada Muni in next life. See that advantage. So even though there is nobody is barred from wearing neck beads. And some people think, oh, I eat this, I eat that, or I'm not too strict, can I wear neck bead? No, you can wear, because if you are thinking to move up and progress, transcend modes, come to the process of self-realization, then we should wear, because nobody is pure here. Everybody is trying to follow the path of purity, but everybody has to start somewhere. So that's why we must wear neck beads, because that is the protection. So that will protect us. Wearing neck beads, tilak is like representing we are being reminded that we are servant of God. We are servant of the spiritual master. That's what it represents. Anyway, so that is the importance here. Deity worship and service. It will revive, actually. It will remove our sinful mentality of sinful, because we are being touched with the Lord directly. It's not different. Akshavigra is not different. Gradually we will realize that. Initially maybe mechanical we may do, but gradually we come just like our own kids, how much we are attached to. So we are attached to everything about them. What they wear, what they like, what they eat, everything. Same thing it will come. Exactly same way, even more deeper, depending on how seriously we serve the Lord. To that degree, we will go deep. So, like Madhavendra Puri, he was serving like anything. He is complete, so much attached. He was not looking for any. And then Prabhupada is mentioning also when in the last days to his disciples, he mentioned at the last he revealed, I was praying my whole life that let me let me stop this. I want to stop this eating, sleeping, mating, defending. I stopped mating, defending long back, but eating, sleeping also. Let me give up. That means he is not dependent on gross body, subtle body. So that's what it means. Automatically, then you give up this body. I'm praying my whole life to the Lord. Now Krishna has allowed me, because from almost 10 months or a year, 1977, November 10th, I think, passed away at 6:53 p.m. or so in Vrindavan Dham, Sri Vrindavan Dham. So year before 76, I think, from all the way from September or August or July or after that. So from that time he was sick and he was not eating anything, only bones, no nothing, no muscle, nothing, everything, because he was not eating. Period, hardly anything, not much eating, drinking at all. But he was translating, he was talking completely. So this spirit soul doesn't depend on the gross body, subtle body. Is teaching. He taught by his own example. He was telling. So this is what it means. It will, because that's what the Brahma Darshanam, that we are coming to that next point, is naturally will come to that detachment. The Chaturmas, all these are to practice our detachment, practice our sense control. Otherwise, constantly we are thinking when I'm going to eat, what I'm going to eat, where I will go, and we're constantly thinking about our own plan for enjoyment. But minute we are engaged in this worship of the deity and hearing and serving the Lord and devotee, then gradually this transfer of the attachment, transfer of the consciousness, transfer of the thought process, thinking, feeling, willing will change to the Supreme Lord. So that is the benefit of worshipping the deity. Is very, very important. Other than chanting, chanting also will improve actually. Chanting also will improve. As Rupa Goswami in Namastaka is telling, Nikila Sruti Mauli Ratnamala Dviti Virajata Padapankajanta Ayimukta Kulair Upasyamanam Harinam Samsrayam. Paritasvam Harinam Samsrayam. Let me take shelter of that lotus feet of the toenails of the Supreme Lord. That's when we are touching the beads, he's telling, I'm touching this, I'm massaging the feet of the toenails of the Supreme Lord. That is in that mood he is chanting. So that in his Namastaka prayer. So that is the mood it will come to. Because as we are so much attached, then that's what it is. Because the Lord Krishna is also using these beads to call the cows. This 108 group, there is after 8 beads, there is a thread. That is indicating first 8 beads are the 8 principal queens. The remaining 108 beads. And there is different significance, but that is the main significance also. So we are actually getting opportunity to serve, to massage, thinking in that way we should. So it is very personal. When we are chanting, that's why Tulsi beads, especially if we are at home, we should chant. So if you are not in a clean place, obviously, you should try to chant not on Tulsi beads. But otherwise, chanting, there is no restriction. Even somebody passes away, you can chant, no restriction whatsoever. You can anytime you can chant. There is no restriction at all. So that way it helps. It improves our chanting also. Deity worship improves every aspect of it. Our hearing, our chanting, because it is purifying. It is touch with fire. We are directly in touch with fire. Iron touch with fire, it will become red hot. It is as good as fire. Same thing will happen here. So that is what is Trayi, Mayi, Trayi Veda. So different understanding we saw. Now coming to the Brahma Darshanam. Brahma Darshanam is explained. So that how we can come to that Brahma Darshanam means self-realization. In this aspect, Prabhupada is mentioning that first level of, as we were discussing yesterday also, Tattva, understanding the absolute truth, realizing the absolute truth. First level is Brahman effulgence. But ultimately to the personality of Godhead. Second level is Paramatma, third level is the personal. But this is the third level, Brahma Darshanam. If you want somebody wants to see the Supreme Lord face to face, how will we see? Unless we are in fire, then only we can enter into fire. We can be stand in fire, nothing will happen, because we are as good as fire. It will not melt, but otherwise it will melt. Same way the Supreme Lord, if you want to see, then we have to be Sachidananda, we have to be pure in order to see. Otherwise it is not possible. So unless, that's why Brahma Janadi the Brahmana. Unless we are situated in that Brahman platform, then we can interact with Para Brahman. Otherwise there is no question of interacting. That means We must be completely go beyond the gross body, subtle body, and situated completely. So the spiritual body, like we have to be like coconut. The coconut top shell is there. That is the gross body, and then inside there is a shell. When the water, dry coconut, if you see in India, we get whole dry coconut. The water becomes dry. So the gross subtle is inside that layer in between the dry coconut and the top shell gross. In between there is some material is there. So that is a subtle body. So inside is this inside shell is the actual soul. So when it becomes too dry, complete detached. When you break it, it comes out as is whole. So that's how it becomes. Even though it is there, that's what Krishna is mentioning also about himself. Even though I create, the whole material world is there, I create, but it is, I'm aloof. It is as good as just like the air we were discussing yesterday. Air is there, air is situated in sky. Air is different, ether is different. Two different things. But air is always situated in the sky only. Same way, even though these three, the whole material world I am creating, universe are coming from me. Nachamastani bhutani paschame yogam aiswaram. Bhota Brahma Bhutasto, Mamatma Bhota Bhavana. But everything is coming from me, but I am not attached to that. I am bonded by that. But ultimately it is sitting in me. So this whole universe, just like the air is sitting in the sky ether, same way this whole universe, because of my I am sitting, but disconnected. It is not connected. It is not direct. So ether and sky is two different things, but air is always situated within the ether. So like that, Krishna himself is giving this is 9.5 and 456 very nice verses. If you read purport, Prabhupada gives nice example, nice analogy. We will understand things very clearly. How this material world, even though it is coming from Supreme Lord, but at the same time I am not. Otherwise, people think of like Atlas. Atlas means some man is holding Atlas. Oh, this whole world, it's so heavy. No, for Lord it is not heavy because he can hold. It is like a mustard seed because he is complete. First of all, he is detached, but still by his energy, everything is holding up. The whole universe is including so many oceans. Everything is floating. So that is the power of the Supreme Lord. Anyway, here Brahma Darshanam. How we can get Brahma Darshanam? Similar verse to 1.2 point, I think 11 or so is there, or not 11. I forget the verse number, but Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayoja Janayati As Vairagnam Gnanam Yad Brahma Darshanam. This is Kapila Muni is instructing Mother Devahuti. Similar verse is there. There it is mentioned Gnanam Chayad Ahaitukam. Causeless. When you worship the Supreme Lord, Vasudeve Bhagavati, Lord Vasudeva, Lord Krishna, then Bhakti Yoga Prayoja, by engaging in devotion, not anything, not karma, not jnana, but Bhakti. Bhakti Yoga Prayojita, then what will be the result? Jnanam Chayad Ahaitukam. Bhakti Prayoj Janayati Asu Vairagyam. Yeah, detachment will happen. Detachment doesn't mean that we renounce everything, we don't need to, we have to renounce family and everything and we go. No, that is not the case. It is internal detachment. Detachment is all, bhakti is internal. Detachment is internal. We are all talking about internal, not external. That means external will become sahajiya. So, no, we are talking about the internal. The chanting is for our improvement. It is not to somebody to showcase, oh, I am chanting, or I am this, I am that, or this much I am spending, or this much I am donating. No, all these nobody is supposed to know. It is only for our close friends or family members supposed to know. Nobody else supposed to know. The more you broadcast your what you do, then it is that is you are actually reducing your credits. Actually, that's what it is. So that's why we have to be careful not to distribute what we do. Means if somebody asks us, we can genuinely say if somebody is asking genuinely. But otherwise, this is not to show. This is for our internal improvement. So that's what here it is mentioned here. Jnanam, causeless knowledge and detachment. Knowledge means not material knowledge. Here talking about transcendental knowledge. Transcendental knowledge. And then we will go and situate in goodness and completely come to the Visuddha Sattva. So here in this verse, instead of causeless ahaituki, it is mentioned Brahma Darshanam. Exact same word, Brahma Darshanam is used. 3.32.23. Canto 3, chapter 32, verse number 23. I think about the pure devotion service. Devahuti is asking Kapila. Lord Kapila is saying this. So there it is mentioned engagement in Krishna consciousness. A very important point also there. engagement in Krishna consciousness and application of devotion service unto Krishna make it possible to advance in knowledge and detachment as well as self-realization. If Brahman is impersonal, then there is no question of Darshanam. So, because impersonal means where is the question of seeing face to face? So, we have to go beyond that Brahman effulgence and go to the Paramatma, that is discussing. Uddesyorjana tishtati Brahmayati yantrarudani Maya. So, that is Lord is situated as Paramatma, as Super Soul. Isvara Sarvabhutana Uddesyorjana tishtati. Yeah. So Anumanta Upadrashta Sakshan, that is another verse. Is like a watching bird and eating bird. He is always watching, he is guiding, he is giving the results. Obviously, he is not directly. Material nature is the one giving the results. Like we want to be, we want to eat meat, then yes, body will be given. Next life, according to what we do, what we desire, then that's how the next life body is being given. So whether it's a tree, animal, accordingly, we are being forced to, even though we don't like to, but still we will be forced to, because that takes care of by the material nature will take care. Prakriti will do that job under the direction of Maya Dakshena Prakriti Sacharacharam. Under Lord's supervision, it will be done by Prakriti. Lord will not be directly doing it, but through Prakriti this will happen. Here that the important point is engaging in devotion service is mentioned. Further it is mentioned, self-realization means becoming indifferent to the needs of the gross and subtle body. 1.3.33 Srimad Bhagavatam, important point also. Self-realization means becoming indifferent to the needs of the gross and subtle bodies and becoming serious about activities of the self. Activities of the self. In Canto 7 earlier we were reading, in further down when Prahlad Maharaj in that chapter, but this is not Prahlad, Narada Muni. Yudhishthira Maharaj asking Narada Muni, we discussed earlier how the living end is coming again and again. So there further it is mentioned, even for Grihasthas, sometimes we become impatient. There it is mentioned, don't worry, he's telling, because Yudhishthira Maharaj was very much worried. I am engaged in family business, Grihastha ashram, how can I come out? There it is mentioned. The process of chanting of the holy name of the Lord is so powerful that by chanting, even householders can very easily gain ultimate result and achieve the self-realization as good as persons in renounced order of life. It's just like they achieve, even the Grihasthas also can achieve by chanting the holy name. That means it must be done regularly. Dharmaste gruha mediyo. Gruha mediyo means those who are engaged in family life, but more towards the enjoyment. They are called Gruhamedi, not Gruhastha. Varnita Papa Nasina, how this sinful activity will be removed. Gruhasto, Yena, Padavim, Anjasa, Nyasinam Yat. Anjasa means very easily, Nyasinam means Sat Nyas, offering everything to the absolute truth. That is what in this verse. So we forgot reading. Dhruva Maharaj, I was describing earlier. So this is an important instruction also. One must be very careful in the purport, where Swayambhu Manu, when Dhruva Maharaj came back, he received the benediction, and then Dhruva Maharaj started ruling the kingdom. His father Uttanapada has given the kingdom to him after watching how he is doing, whether he is following or not. Then he saw and he heard from people that he is following, is a nice boy, he can be given kingdom. Then he left the kingdom, and then Dhruva Maharaj started ruling. Then after some time, then his brother Uttama, another son of Uttanapada, he was sitting on the lap that time. So before. That's how incident happened, but he couldn't go and sit at the same time. Stephan Surichi, he scolded him and said, you cannot sit, you are not born from me. So that's how this whole thing started. But anyway, when he came back, but he didn't have that enmity because he has that Brahma Darshanam, he is able to see face to face the Lord. Then he didn't see the enmity at all when he came back. With even Mother Surichi also, because Prabhupada is making that point that anybody who is in touch with the Supreme Lord, automatically when somebody is in touch with them, even if they have enmity, everything will be gone. They will not feel that enmity. They will be very friendly automatically. Just like Srila Prabhupada, in 99% of cases, he was in touch, he was associated with so many people, even those are coming from the lowest of lowest background, but still Even though those who are envious also, even Prabhupada was preaching strongly also, they could tolerate, they could take it. Because Prabhupada is pure devotee, he could speak, they could take it, they could understand, because directly he's talking to the soul. So that's why you can understand this. It's a important point anyway. So after the Suriti also gave the blessings at that time. May you live long. So after this, after some time, then one time brother Uttama went to forest for hunting. Then he was killed by these yakshas. It is exactly related to the same similar story what we have, but little bit different scenario, but it is coming to the same context here. So when then the extra killed this boy, this Uttama. Then he heard Dhruva Maharaj what happened. Then he went on to fight with these extras. Not the person who killed, not only him, then he started killing left and right. He fought valiantly. So many extras were killed. So many extras. They created magic. The extras are not ordinary. They had created so much magic. They were hiding and pouring so many things. And then Dhruva Maharaj also used his weapons, Narayana Astra, and then everybody was shattered and he was killing. Then Swayambhu Manu came and gave instruction here. Long, the whole chapter is there. Swayambhu Manu instructed. Very important. Even though Dhruva Maharaj received benediction from the Supreme Lord, this is the teaching by lesson. Is to teach us this, especially these incidents happen. So there, here in Swayambhu Manu, this is in the, not this one. This is in chapter 11. Swayambhu Manu advises Dhruva Maharaj. Verse number 11, Canto 4, chapter 11, verse number 29, especially 27 also is there. I'll quickly read, already we are out of time. Verse number 27 says, My dear boy Dhruva, please surrender unto the Supreme Personality of God. He already surrendered. Why is he asking? Because of the context. Because he went on, he forgot completely what he is doing. So that's why, even though we must be very alert. Prabhupada is always praying, let me not be attracted by Maya. He is already pure, he doesn't need to. But he knows this material world means that can happen, even however great a person may be. So that's why Swayambhu Manu had to instruct again. He is coming again to instruct Dhruva Maharaj. Otherwise, he is already exalted soul, he received, he saw the Lord. But still, this is a lesson for us. My dear boy Dhruva, please surrender unto Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the ultimate goal of the progress of the world. Everyone, including demigods headed by Lord Brahma, is working under his control, just as a bull, prompted by a rope in its nose, is controlled by its owner. So that's why we have to take shelter of goodness. Lord Brahma, all the demigods are being controlled because they are not independent. They are dependent. 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is talking that clearly. Everything. How demigods cannot give anything. Even somebody is worshipping, somebody is giving, they are giving boons to them. They are not independent. It is going, Lord is sanctioning. At least they are worshipping someone, then Lord is sanctioning through them. So that they are not, otherwise, if Lord doesn't sanction, even they cannot give. They are not independent. So that's that making that point using that example. How bull is controlled by a rope in the nose. Same way, all demigods, everybody is controlled by the Supreme Lord. Further point is made. My dear Dhruva, at the age of only 5 years, you were very grievously afflicted by the words of your mother's co-wife, and you very boldly gave up the protection of your mother and went to the forest to engage in the yogic process for realization of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As a result of this, you have already achieved the topmost position in all the 3 worlds. Swayambhu Manu is reminding, what is the cause when you forgot already, when you went to worship the Supreme Lord, what has happened? Now you are doing what you are doing. So he is basically recollecting, making him realize what he is doing is not correct. Further, this is the 29th verse is important point, and purport is also Prabhupada is making. My dear Dhruva, please therefore is coming to conclude. Turn your attention to the Supreme Person who is infallible Brahman, as Brahma Darshanam. Prabhupada is making the translation of Brahman. Face the Supreme Personality of Godhead in your original position, and thus, by self-realization, you will find this material differentiation to be merely flickering. What that means is, Prabhupada is explaining in the purport. When living entities The living entity actually passes through many varieties of material forms, but despite all such changes of body is eternal. When living entities therefore are viewed in the bodily concept of life, one appears to be different from another. Lord Manu wanted to change the vision of Dhruva. This is what Brahma Darshanam. That's why this is the important purport. Darshanam means vision. What vision we have? We have a contaminated material vision. So that vision has to change to the spiritual vision, Brahma Darshanam. So that's why he's making the point even to Dhruva Maharaj. So this is for reminder, for lesson for us. Krishna Dhruva Maharaj, who was looking upon the Yakshas as different from him, or as his enemies. Prahlad Maharaj also makes this point before. Who is enemy, who is friend? For Lord, there is no such thing. And for a realized soul, for those who are situated in the highest transcendence, for him there is no enemy or friend. Because everybody is part and parcel of Krishna. So that's why he's bringing that point. Who was looking upon the Yakshas as different from him or as his enemies? Actually, no one is an enemy or a friend. Everyone is passing through different types of bodies under the laws of karma. But as soon as one is situated in his spiritual identity, he does not see differentiation in terms of this law. Then Prabhupada is quoting the Brahma Bhota Prasanna Atma Nasochitana Kankshati verse. A devotee who is already liberated does not see differentiation in terms of outward body. He sees all living entities as spirit souls, eternal servants of the Supreme Lord. Dhruva Maharaj was advised by Lord Manu to see with that vision. He was specifically advised to do so because he was a great devotee and should not have looked upon the other living entities with ordinary vision. Indirectly, Manu pointed out to Dhruva Maharaj that out of material affection, Dhruva thought of his brother as his kin and the Yakshas as his enemies. Such observation of differentiation subsides as soon as one is situated in his original position as an eternal servant of the Lord. So that we see the important point. Because you could have fought just one Yaksha or maybe few and then finished it. But he went on fighting, so many Yakshas were killed. Then Swayambhu came and reminded what you are doing. So when your stepmother scolded you and did so much, and then you thought she was your enemy, and then you went and worshipped, then all your enmity, even though your desire was there, Lord has fulfilled it, and then you are purified. You are lamenting that why did I ask for this boon? I didn't ask for pure devotion service. Then you are all right. Now again, by seeing your Uttama, your brother being killed by Yakshas, then immediately completely went on to the more of a bodily, differentiating friend and enemy and then bodily concept of life. How did this come upon you? Is reminding. So is indicating. So that means if you are not focused, if you are not sharp, if you are not sober, then situated in mode of goodness, then this can happen. Then later on Kuvera comes because Swayambhu Manu, then he stops, Dhruva Maharaj stops fighting. Then Kuvera, Yakshas are under Kuvera. Kuvera is the head of all these Yakshas. Then Kuvera himself comes. And then he comes and gives his blessings. Actually, you are not at fault. Everything happens by the Supreme Lord. Even Uttama, don't think that Yakshas killed. By the will of the Providence, nobody can stop will of the Providence. Because of him, actually this has happened. So don't think that is your fault. That is their fault. But what has happened? Already you killed these many. Now you stopped. You realized it. And then that is good. All blessings unto you. Then he explains on the same thing. Go beyond these three modes of material nature. Actually, this whole material world is operating on this mode of ignorance, passion, and goodness. But we have to go beyond. We are not the gross body, we are not the subtle body, we are the spirit soul. So Kuvera also explains on the same point few verses. So that's why this Brahma Darshanam means we have to come to this realization. But it is not easy. Even though we may be chanting and hearing, but minute we go out, we will be operating on it. But we have to constantly practice it. Then gradually we'll come to that platform. For Sri Prabhupada, you can see he mentioned 20 years it took for him to come to that perfection of his chanting. So Prabhupada is giving, actually for us, he is already pure. He is a pure devotee. Lord Krishna sent him to preach. This is also mentioned in Brahma Vaivarta Puran. Bhaktivinoda Thakur has mentioned that one, commander will come to preach the glories of the Lord. And in Brahma Vaivarta Puran also there is a verse mentioned. Obviously, Prabhupada's name, exact name was not mentioned, but indicating this powerful personality will come. So obviously, Prabhupada himself also mentioned indirectly in different ways that he didn't wanted to come to this material world, but Lord Krishna assured him that you will not be attracted or attached to this world. So they went to preach this mission. So this is Prabhupada is giving by his own example how to be always cautious. He was always cautious. He was always practicing, even though otherwise he doesn't need to do. But he came to teach us the lesson. He's always 24 by he was chanting. He was always absorbed in the mood of thinking or how to serve his spiritual master and Krishna. He was a grahastha also. He was married. He had 3 kids. I think 1 son and 2 daughters or something like that. Yeah, I think 3. So at the age of 66, 60, after 60 only he renounced. When things are not working in the favor, then only he renounced. Otherwise he didn't renounce either. So it's a gradual process. There is nothing to externally nothing to renounce. It is all about internally renouncing things. So Brahma Darshanam is all about the internal renouncing, but that will happen more and more. He used to worship. He used to do Jagannath Radhayatra from childhood. He used to worship Radha Govinda Dev from his childhood. He asked because he used to see. That's why this culture is very important. When we are child itself, we have to teach kids how. When we do, then kids will follow. His father used to do, even though he was not a cloth merchant. Then he used to do only a few hours a day, whatever he needs, certain money. Only that he was not so much enthusiastic in running the shop, like getting so much money. He's not interested. He used to come back home in the afternoon, again worship the deity, do his puja, chanting, and then go back like that. I used to feed sadhus every day, even though not so much money they were getting, but still every day they used to feed sadhus. And Prabhupada saw his father worshipping, then he asked for deity, then he got Radha Govinda from his childhood. In this way, this deity, even these deities are now, it is there. I think it is in one of the Calcutta, one of the temple or I think one of the temple or one of the devotee has these deities what Srila Prabhupada has worshipped. So that's how you can see Prabhupada is teaching us by his own example how important for us to follow this process so that even other family members, even though they may not be doing, at least they will get the benefit because the impressions are there. Chitta, at some point it will trigger, some point they will get, definitely benefits are there. To the extent they see it, then gradually they will follow at some point and it will benefit them. So that's why it is very important to have at least pictures and follow this gradual process. Then taking shelter of, especially this verse is teaching us how by taking shelter of mode of goodness, taking shelter of Lord Vishnu or Lord Krishna, worshipping the deity and serving the deity, and then hearing and chanting. These are the things described here. Then we can come to this vision of Brahma Darshanam. Otherwise, Dhruva Maharaj was fighting with them like Yakshas. So this incident happened, as we can see. Nothing is in our control. Some things can happen. Prabhupada has predicted in material world, even being in Krishna, even this happened in Russia also. And preaching so much, they put in distress. Devotees are put in distress like anything. So I forget Ananta Sesha or I forget the names. Gas chambers and whatnot, torture after torture, prison, and so many years. Many devotees in Russia, that's how it was. So here, obviously, this is not supposed to happen, but to the extent we can try. Obviously, it's a chanting must be there. When we do protest, it must go with the chanting. And we must realize that we are not operating on the bodily platform. We must not make everybody collectively as one religion or make collectively, this is all Muslims are same or like this. We shouldn't come to the conclusion. So just like Dhruva was thinking that all Yakshas, one Yaksha killed, but that doesn't mean that you kill all Yakshas. So that we have to be very careful. So Swayambhu Manu is coming and instructing. So yes, with the passion and especially with the passion, we immediately come to conclusion, and we have so much energy and enthusiasm to run after, run back toward to fix the problem. But it doesn't. Things doesn't run like that. We have to be grave, sober to decide to make a right decision, proper decision to move in right direction. We must be sober. We must be situated in goodness, not thinking in a very passionate way. Then we can make right choice. That's why, and we must seek guidance of those enlightened, those who realize, those senior. Not coming up with ideas. And yes, ideas are good, but we must discuss. So that's why still Prabhupada always told his disciples, take guidance, take together, cooperate together and decide. So otherwise, individually we may make decisions, especially in these kind of situations, come up with ideas, come up with our own conclusions, and it is not going to really help. So that's why then we come to that. That's why Simon has to come to instruct Dhruva Maharaj. So come back, go back to your previous state. What Lord has instructed. What state were you in? And now what state were you in? Where are you operating? Where are you coming down? There's a further instruction, but I don't want to share now. So that is related to the next verse of Gita for the next week Friday's class. that goes into that is connected to that point. So we are already anyway 8:40. So any questions or comments? So any questions anyone has?
Yeah, Prabhuji Satish here. I had one question. Can you elaborate more on deities when you said, there's a special, procedure to have them at the home?
Yeah. In general, means for home deities, it's not so particular. But if you want to do, there's a process of installation. That for temple, for sure, there is installation elaborate, which is chapter number 4, Madhavendra Puri's installation. Prabhupada is clearly commenting in the purport, one of the verse. Every ISKCON temple must follow how Madhavendra Puri has done. The installation, the whole 9 yards of 4 types of bathing, Mahagavya, Panchagavya, Mahasnan, 4 types of bathing, and then offering hundreds of items. This is how it should be done. That is for temple, but for home, we don't need to install, because minute you install, the standard goes high. So in the beginning, we don't need to install. We can get Shri Gaurnitai or Jagannath Baldev Sudra Maharani. Those also not buy in any shop. Generally, we get through devotees, so that it will come through Jagannath Puri. These deities are made, or devotees made, and then through them we get, so that there is a proper, what is that? In deity making, Shilpa Shastra is followed generally. That's why when you get these deities, murtis like that, it will be helpful. Otherwise, especially for temple, they definitely follow. But for home also, it is go through devotees through whom we get, or our temple gift shops, they have many of them. If not here, I'm sure in Vrindavan, Mayapur, best place to get these deities, any of these deities is Mayapur, Jagannath Puri. Probably for Jagannath deities, maybe Jagannath Puri, but even in Mayapur, I think we should have. But for Gaur Nitai, there is a Panchadhatu, Ashtadhatu, there are different levels. How obviously it has material elements, but there is Ashtadhatu, which will be very shining and very beautiful looking, more expensive, but it is nice to have. But there is no restriction to have only that particular form. So it can be a regular also, whether it's Ashtadhatu or not, or Panchadhatu or not, it doesn't matter. But as long as it is properly done through a proper process, most of our gift shops, and especially Mayapur and Vrindavan, we get the nice deities, especially Gaurnitai, Radha Krishna also, they have beautiful deities, Jagannath Baldev Subhadra also. We have, at least I have given to many devotees. I got from our devotees from Jagannath Puri, so I gave it to many devotees here. Even my deities also, home deities, I have 2 sets. One came from Jagannath Puri through their devotees, One is done by Kalparuksha Prabhu. So the big deities or Archa deities of the temple are Kalparuksha Prabhu carved personally. So that's how it should come through that those who are worshipping, those who know, those who studied, then them giving, or through devotees. Then we start. The first thing we have to do is we should, if not same day, immediately we should call devotees, at least few. If not because of COVID, we must invite. We must do chanting. We do sankirtan and distribute prasadam. These two things must be there. And that is the main point of installation. That's why you see offering tulsi leaves. Prabhupada also, when Krishna Balram temple, when he did more is to, obviously there are so many others are there to showcase to them. Then he told them, now chant Brahma Samhita, follow the all the process of Yajna and everything. Panchratrik Vidhi, that is coming under Panchratrik Vidhi. Rules and regulations, more vigorous. But more important, Prabhupada give importance to offering tulsi leaves. Minute you offer tulsi leaves, the installation is done. Because Guru is the one who is pure devotee, who is inviting the Lord from through his heart and the Lord to be in that temple, in that place. So that's why even that the home deities also, spiritual masters give the names to the deities. So that is our, it is good to have, because more you can meditate. Oh, my deity Shri Radha Shyam Sundar, Shri Radha Natavar, whatever. So different names. So we become attached, just like kids has names. So like this is a good thing to have, but it's not managed, but it's okay. You can think Radha Shyam Sundar, whatever. Depending on what they say when you buy, they tell you what form it is. At least based on the features, you can come to some conclusion. So yeah, and then start worshipping them. That is the main thing. Chanting for Gaurnatai, the only chanting is the first and foremost. Even if you don't offer anything, chanting is the main thing. If you don't chant, then it's not a good idea. So chanting is the first and foremost for Gaurnatai or Jagannath Baldeswar. So chanting must go on. Then for Jagannath Baldeswar, one must offer rice every day, at least one time, at least two times, if not one time minimum. So for Gaurnatai also, chanting must go on, then offering tulsi leaves. For any deity, if we have pictures also, one must offer tulsi leaves. If we don't have, we get at least in winter, we should get 5-6 plants before itself. Keep the these night light, these plant lights, so that it will stay. We have to bring inside within October itself. Now it's before cold starts itself, we have to bring it in. Otherwise, bugs will come. So many things will come. It will not stay. Because offering tulsi leaves is the most important process of deity worship. And without that, what quality we have? Because of her devotion, then Lord will accept. Then we will also be transformed by offering tulsi like that. So that is the main point. Gradually we can increase. Consistently we should do something. Once a day I'm going to offer rice or whatever grains. Other times I'm going to offer nuts, fruits, milk, whatever. Easier ones. Then gradually, but consistently something, even the chanting, everything must be done consistently. That is the main important in deity worship. Every day, this is what I'm going to do. Timing maybe you can change a little bit at home, but at least once a day or twice a day, thrice a day. Same thing, chanting
Consistency.
two rounds a day or 4 rounds a day, whatever it is. Consistently, we should do gradually. On top, one day if we do more, that's fine. But at least minimum thing, some every day we should carry. Then gradually we can improve and gradually come to that. Then based on our situation, family situation. But this is the minimum thing. One time we should offer, even if it is Gaurnitai, Jagannath Baldev Sodra Marani. Then gradually we can see what we can do accordingly. But if it is Radha Krishna, then we must offer at least minimum 2 times. We must offer properly 4 kinds of food, the grains and the fruits and the juice or liquid items. 4 kinds of food is mentioned. Chewed, licked, sucked, and drunk. These are the 4 types of food in the Gurvastaka prayers. We sing in that Sadhvanna Triptana Haribhakta Sang. That 4 kinds of food one must offer. Especially Radha Krishna deities means more stricter. So consistently must be done. Even if you are not so consistent in Gaurnita and Jagannath, it's okay. It will not be so problem. But for Radha and Krishna, definitely it will be it's not good for our progress in devotion service, because it will be offensive. It will create more and more anarthas for us for not properly following. So not knowing and bringing the deities what to do. So and dressing. So for Gaunita Jagannath, once a month, once in 2 weeks, no need to do arti, nothing. For Gaunita Jagannath, main purpose is chanting, and then whatever we can offer once a day, that's fine. But all other things, many devotees do arti or worship, dressing. That is secondary. Jagannath dressing is very easy. You can do very easily. Just change, like a short pant, like we do. It's very easy. Jewelry and all that is extra. Keep it minimal, because more we engage in chanting and chanting, hearing, reading, these are the important things. Worshipping the deity, gradually we have to see, means we can spend time 10 minutes, 20 minutes, depending on, because if we are not able to do chanting, reading, and hearing, then if you are okay, as soon as you wake up, first you take bath and then go and worship the deity, open the altar, offering water, this, that, then the whole time is gone, the actual Brahma Murti is gone, then when are we going to chant? Chanting is the first priority, then only next other deity worship. Obviously, yes, if you are situated in Mangalarti, you have enough time, then yes, that is, you can do deity worship also. But obviously, in this modern day world, we have so many things to do. It is just not possible. So that's why the chanting is the first priority. Then at least 4 rounds or whatever round, minimum round, something we should do. Then we can open altar and do the worship. Then gradually we can, accordingly, time should be adjusted. Our office time, our family time, and then adjust that accordingly. Consistently, we should plan our deity worship activities.
So, Prabhuji, Mangalarti or chanting, when you go to the temple,
Yes.
what's like, some people, some can do chanting at home early in the morning, or go to temple and do the Mangalarti, like I used to go before.
Yeah, so Mangalarati, it is good thing to do, but if we are not able, if we, let's say if we attend Mangalarati, but we are not able to finish our whatever prescribed rounds, whatever we committed to, we are not able to do, then you might as well stay home and do the chanting, because that is the main purpose. If we have time, then yes, good to go. At least on what we can do is on festival days, maybe we may be able to go and do chanting also, do that. Radhastami, Janmashtami, Gordhan Puja, these main days, if we can. But those days also, I suggest that the first priority must be given to chanting. So even if you go 10 minutes, you attend, take darshan, and 10 15 minutes, then come back and then start chanting. Either sit there and chant, or wherever we are attentively chanting, whatever helps. So that's what that should be our priority. So, because that is the ultimate point. The essence of Kali Yuga is chanting. No chanting, no reading, no hearing means then it's not. That is the main focus. Bhagavad Vidya is the focus. And then deity worship will help. Slowly, gradually, we'll bring. Means 10 minutes or 20 minutes we can spend at home worshipping the deity. Mangalarti also you can, as long as, but if you stay from Mangalarti all the way to Tulsi Puja, then 45 50 minutes, then it's very difficult for those who are in Grostha Ashram with work and so many things. We will not have much time unless we very nicely plan our life accordingly. We have enough time. Then yes, you can attend Mangalarti all the way to Bhagavatam class. Also do it. But we have to see what is in our practical scenario in our life. Then accordingly adjust that. But chanting must be done. So there is no question of missing chanting in even one day. And so that's what Srila Prabhupada has highly stressed, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stressed to all the devotees in all instructions. Chanting is the priority for this age especially.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Anybody else has questions? We'll stop here. 8:52 already. You can ask in a few minutes. We can go ahead. Anyone else has questions?
Just, just a
Go ahead. Somebody is asking.
So, Prabhuji, we can do chanting in afternoon also, right? If we do Mandar Aarti
Yes. Yes.
and finish 16 rounds by afternoon or by evening, or if we
Yes.
divide 4, 4, 4.
Yeah, yeah. You can do that. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Each person is different. Is their timing and their family situation and job and what goes on is different. As long as in a day you can manage your 16 rounds, then you can attend Mangalarti, you can do services and other things. But you are not able to do your chanting, your committed rounds. If not, means if you are not doing 16, 8 or whatever 4, then you are losing actual. You are not using the purpose. Main purpose is to chant. So minimum rounds must be chanted. So if you are already doing 16, then we must make sure that that is not that is not coming into problem when we are attending Mangalarti or doing services. So we must somehow or other. Yes, Prabhupada in some place that service is chanting, Mangalarti is chanting. Yes, that in some circumstances to certain devotees, but that doesn't apply to everyone. So that's what we have to see. And the focus chanting. Brahma Muhurta time is the chanting time. So it's a gradual planning. Even you can attend Mangalarti, but as I mentioned, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and then go back and do chanting. That's what I would suggest. Because 16 rounds, because Prabhupada also said, after 8 o'clock, especially in the morning time, there is more of passion. Prabhupada mentioned, so in one instance I heard from his disciple, it is more of a passion than it's not, focus is not there. Because we have things to do, some things will keep coming into the mind as the day, especially in the beginning of the day, after 8, 9. Then afternoon to evening is fine, but more on after evening. Prabhupada said, especially in this time, somehow, but maybe that's how this mind works. So Prabhupada recommended more in the morning, but otherwise in other places he mentioned 4 divisions he recommended. Before breakfast, before lunch, before dinner, before sleeping, 4 batches, 16, to make it easier for devotees, those who are working, those who are doing services, so many things they used to do. But in some places he mentioned like this also, means is to be not chant during this time, as between 9 and 11 or 12 or something like that. So afternoon and evening is fine, but during that time too much passion or something like that. In one instance I heard. But at least whatever, we don't need to take that fully in consideration without understanding that particular context or something. But at least idea is to finish 16 rounds in the morning before we go to work, before others wake up, before 7 o'clock. That is the best case scenario, 6 or 7. We can, if not, at least 8 rounds, 4 rounds, whatever. Then gradually, because that reduces the actual attention will not be there. However, we may try after 7, 8 o'clock, the chanting focus to chanting will not be there. So it is difficult. Distraction will always be there. Something other will keep coming. So that's why morning time should be used as much as possible. Gradually, when we adjust our family and our plan, our life, then we will have time for Mangalarti and chanting also. Then it will help. Otherwise, so it's not so easy. I attend Tuesday and Saturday 2-3 days in a week, so I know how the chanting goes the rest of the days and the days when I go for service, because I finish only 2 to 4 rounds in the morning when I come for service. I try to do, but it's just not possible. So I have to wake up 3 to do this, but then to finish 16 means I have to wake up at 1. But the day before, even if we sleep, I can't sleep at 7 or 8, because so many things to do. It just not easy. But so many devotees used to do in the beginning, and Prabhupada was there. Wake up at 1 before even deity worship 16 not finish and go. But yes, that time they can do, but it's not just practical in our case, in many of our cases. So that's why we have to see what is practical in our. But the main thing, chanting is the priority. How to focus, how to do focus chanting. That is the main priority. So whatever we can do, adjust, but slowly at least. If you want to do still Mangalarti, then that's fine. But at least committed round must be done, even if it is not attentively done. Then gradually we have to see adjust. Um, you know, So general instructions are there. Prabhupada is giving that attend Mangalarati, or at least on Ekadasi one must visit the temple. Festival day one must visit the temple. So at least once a week visit the temple. Take darshan of the Lord and serve the devotees, serve the Lord. Take something when we are going. These are the general instruction Prabhupada is giving. Important instructions actually. So whatever way we can adjust according to our life and see, and then accordingly we can adjust. So that way it will help. But during this Damodar month, we should offer flowers and tulsi leaves. That is the must, other than our chanting and reading and hearing, and serve devotees whenever we get opportunity. Especially Govardhan Puja is the biggest. Radha Kund appearance day, obviously it's not a big festival we celebrate here. Govardhan Puja is the biggest festival. November 7th, Sunday, we are celebrating. So that day we can try to take the opportunity. If you attend Mangalarati, November 7th, Sunday, we are celebrating. Actual day is a big day. Wednesday, that is another thing. Means, we can plan ahead. Festivals must be planned ahead. Taking a holiday or taking off, taking few hours off, or whatever we can do. If you plan ahead, then we can do that. Otherwise, we will not be able to do. If you take off, then it's easy, and then we'll be able to chant, attend Mangalarati, also do some service, also everything will be possible. But if we don't plan, adjust things, schedule, even if we attend office, also still we'll be able to adjust, because if we plan, we'll only work few hours where we finish all the work before that day. Will be keep light, then we'll be able to do everything. So that's how it planning. Everything depends on our planning only. Then everything can be adjusted. Mangalarti, service, whatever, worshiping the deity. So that's what it is. It's a more of a practically we have to see each and every individual is different. So is that all right?
You might
Yes,
just
Prabhu.
chat.
Who's that? Mataji or your son? Devan Prabhu?
My son,
Oh, Daksh. Darsh. Is that Darsh?
does, yes, Prabhu.
Okay. Okay, thank you all. Hare Krishna, Chandra,